Welcome, Night Owls, to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting sunlit podcast today. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We review fantasy, romantasy, dark romance, and thriller novels.
All things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, and maybe a little spicy.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, fan theories, and more. And this is your content warning for this podcast. This podcast contains mature themes and discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and descriptions of mature romance, as well as depictions of violence and other intense subject matter. This podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Yep. And going forward from here, we're going to have lots of spoilers for what's already started out to be the Seasons of Carnage series, but we only have books 1 and 2. So we're going to have tourist season a little bit here, and also we're going to have harvest season, of course. So consider this your spoiler warning.
Let's get cozy because the best stories are told after dark.
All right, so we have a drink of the episode, but I want to clearly state, if you're watching on video, it is sun shining here, and it's because we're filming on a morning before we're both about to start vacation. So I'm literally like getting ready to head out the door on vacation. We're popping out an episode here real fast, but it kind of applies because harvest season and tourist season are both taking place in the summer. We've got a lot going on. It fits the vibe of the book, and I thought, well, this kind of works. We're gonna get our episode out, and we're also going to take advantage of the fact that it applies to the book we're reading. So cool. On that note, harvest season had lots of drinks, had lots of things to pull from, just the same as book 1. Brynne Weaver loves to throw in all her food and all her different things in her books, so she's known for this. But this time, I wanted to do something more that leaned towards Arthur, our boy. So, justice for Arthur, and he was written beautifully. I felt like, yeah, exactly, because he is a serial killer. So, grain of salt. But either way, I loved the relationship, and I loved how well, Brynne has handled this really specific disease. We know from interviewing her that she had like such a connection to it, in her work life and in her personal life, prior to becoming an author. And so it was a very detailed version of the breakdown of the brain, and I thought it was very interesting to read in this book and heartbreaking. But to that note, we had to do something for Arthur, and so we have our drink right here, which is going to be called the Carnage Corpse Maker, which is actually a line directly from the book. There's a section of the book where they talk about drink titles that could be themed for different events, and one of the drinks titles was called, well, they had the Whiskey Spectre, Boozy Banshee, and then they had the Carnage Corpse Maker, and I was like, well, I feel like we could go to pop over to the Bean and get a Carnage Corpse Maker. And so what we've got here, in a nod to the distillery, we have whiskey, but then we know Arthur always drank a dirty chai. And while we know that Harper mostly made those for him, he always noted that the Bean had the best ones. And maybe it's because it has whiskey in it. Who knows? Maybe it does or doesn't. But we're with a nod to the distillery and a nod to Arthur. We have the Carnage Corpse Maker. You're going to use a little bit of espresso, or in this case for me, I just use cold brew coffee. You're going to use chai tea and a shot of whiskey of your choice. And then I just topped it with a cold foam topper, but you can use whatever you would like. If you want to pop it with oat milk the way that Arthur has it, you can do that too. And you're ready to go. So here you go, Carnage Corpse Maker. I would have loved to have a little bit more blood, but I thought if you're going to order this from an actual coffee shop, might be a step too far. So I went with a traditional
maybe
glass.
Carnage for sure. I mean, they definitely would have
maybe
blood and
Carnage.
all the things.
Yes,
a little axe on the side.
maybe,
But I love how with Arthur, the reason why he drank the dirty chais is because he's not allowed to have that much caffeine with his medication. So, it was also a nod to like people that actually combat that disease and what happens, or what changes they have to make to their daily lives begrudgingly, because Arthur is pissed about it all the time, which rightfully so. So yeah.
Yep. So it's delicious. Highly recommend. The nod to distillery, again, deliberate. It was a whiskey distillery, so I was like, if there's any alcohol we're using, that's the alcohol we've got to use for this. Made the most sense. But tonight, as you can tell, we're diving into Harvest Season by Brynne Weaver. So whether you're reading along with us or just here for the book talk, we're glad you're here. We're going to get into our star ratings. We'll go to the recap of the high overview of the book, talk a little bit about how it was promoted, because I think this book in particular was very interesting, how Zando chose to promote this book in the series. And then we can talk about our down the rabbit hole segment and our mystery Q&A. So let's get started. I'm going to start
Alright.
off with the special editions of these books, Michelle, and the
Mhm.
different packages that Brynne offered this time around. She did it again where she's on tour actually right now for harvest season. We got the Barnes& and Noble exclusive edition, which is really pretty. I love
Mhm.
it. We don't have a map in this one, but we do get Harper's Garden. We did get a map in book
Pretty.
1, so I don't wanna hear from you on your star rating, Michelle. We
I
got
wasn't
a
gonna do
map.
that. I
All right.
I
So
wasn't
we
gonna
got a
do
map.
that.
Okay, so if we're showing it on the video, but we did get, a beautiful book trophy because honestly, the audio for this was fire, and also I read it on Kindle. But this is an immersive read, folks, because when I tell you that the audio for this is game
Woo.
changer good, it's so, so
So
good
good.
because who's back is Samantha Brentmore, the queen of audiobooks. She's fantastic. Robert Hatchett, and of course, Brynne makes her special appearance in the beginning of the book as well. And it was so good. It was chef's kiss. It was classic Brynne Weaver. Um, I know that this is a middle book, so I'm very curious what your star ratings are gonna be. I do think that that adds a different element for Brynne than we've read
Yes.
before because all of her books, even though Leather and Lark was a 3rd book technically in the Ruinous Love trilogy,
That's
it
different.
was different because it was a
Mhm.
standalone of its own story. It interconnected, but they were different couples. So this is her first time really reading Brynne as a true trilogy where you have Taurus season, harvest season, and then we'll have book 3. So of course, we knew that this book was going to end on a massive cliffhanger, which is exactly what happened.
Mhm.
We knew we were going to have some maybe additional time and pacing of having to build different relationships and characters and have some more conflict to extend us into that 3-book range.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But anyway, so this is the edition we got. I don't know which edition everyone else got, but I know that our local bookstore had Brynne in person as part of her tour, which unfortunately we couldn't get tickets for. Bummed about that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so this is our Barnes& and Noble exclusive edition. It's above you, right, Michelle?
Yep.
Did you do the
Right up.
audio?
Yes, I did. I did do the audio, so good. I with Brynne Weaver, if you don't do the audiobook, I feel like you're doing her books a disservice because
1000%.
they're so quirky in how, like, their banter is, and it's across all of her books. And if you don't like, obviously, you can read that and you have the voices in your head and you can get a full experience from the books, but the audiobooks just add a different level that you have
Oh
that
yeah.
banter, that quick wit back and forth. There's
Ooh,
the
especially the
the
spice
spicy
scenes
scenes
too.
are a little are a little bit more exaggerated,
Yeah.
you get the gruff voice and all
Mhm.
that. So, yeah, I you have to do the audiobooks with Brynne Weaver in an immersive read. Like, there's no other way to read her, honestly.
Agree. She spends so much time and care in making sure, and Zando does too, her publisher, so much time and
Mhm.
care in getting the right and making the right cast for her books, and it shows. They are
Absolutely.
phenomenal voice actors. They're the best in the game, the best some of the best in the industry. And you can really tell that they pour their heart and soul into making it a performance that's incredible and it's well worth the listen.
Yeah.
So okay, let's do your star rating.
So for star ratings, okay, because this is the middle book, and I had to keep reminding myself this is a middle book because
Yeah, you
well,
got
like
to.
some of the pacing was a little bit slow for me, and a lot of it was because she was building backstory and,
Mhm.
building up to the final scene. So, a lot of the slow parts, which, like, Nolan acting as, like, the deputy sheriff searcher in some sort, which is weird. I was like, "Wait a minute.
Star,
Why is the sheriff asking some rando to, head up the search?"
literally.
So I thought that was interesting, and I understand, like, why, because, he had to be interconnected in some sort of way, shape, or form, and,
Mhm.
yeah, and then we got more of Harper's backstory, which we knew from if you read Butcher and Blackbird. But if you didn't
Right.
read Butcher and Blackbird, she has to bring that in more and how that really impacted her trauma because a lot of this book
Mhm.
is more about trauma. I mean, all of her books are kind of about trauma, but like this
The
compared to
Harper
Taurus season,
Autumn.
yeah,
Yeah.
this
Harper
delved a
Autumn
lot
dynamic.
deeper into
Mhm.
that. So some of it was slow though. Like I felt like I had to trudge through it So I would give
Really?
this like yes, for just for like the middle part. But I
Okay.
knew I had to. So
Right.
while
Brynne Weaver will give you
pacing
a
is a big
reward.
part of our elements, this was intentional pacing. Like I didn't feel like it was slow because it had to be slow, not slow for the sake of like
Mhm.
we're gonna add fluff. It just there needed to be that information there. So I'm not going to take away points for that just because it was very
Okay.
intentional in having to build up because it is a middle book. If this pacing was in a book 1 or a book 3, then yes, I would take points off, but because the intentionality of a middle book is to build up more,
Yeah.
you should expect
She
slow
did that.
pacing. So I'm still gonna
Yeah.
give it a 5. I'm not gonna take away points from it. There's still an intricate plot, so we still have the immersive setting because settings are very differently built in romantasy books versus like thrillers and dark romance books. It's
Mm.
almost like a character in of itself, and it's like described very like differently than like we're building a whole like world. So I'm gonna still give points for
Yeah.
the immersive setting. We still have our complex characters. So and then obviously there's the emotional connection to our main character. So I'm not gonna take away points just because of the pacing, just because it is important to kind of slow it down for a middle book. So that's gonna be a
Yeah.
5-star for me. What about for you?
I agree. I mean, I think you pretty much took the words from my mouth. I agree with you on the pacing. I also had to continually remind myself, Danny, this is a middle book. You know, the frustration between you know, the autumn Harper thing, it was a lot, but it's also necessary because it wouldn't really make logical sense for her to like jump quickly into another relationship either. And her having doubts made sense to me. Did I love that she was completely like oblivious to Nolan and his repeated, uh, I'm here
I
for
love
you type
you.
stuff? That was, yeah,
Yeah.
I love you. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's like in the very beginning, he like professes that
Mhm.
he's in love with her and she can't say it. And he's like cool with that. But girl, I was a little
Yeah,
frustrated.
I will say I
So
love you. If you don't say
I,
it soon,
yeah,
you can
go
carve
with ice
yourself out of my
alone.
of your life, but I will still love you. It's like, "I'm sorry, what?"
It's like, what? I know. Yeah. So, here I agree with you, but I also agree that we needed to set ourselves up for book 3. I think that
Mhm.
this book achieved that. I think that the hook from the start was always there because Brynne is just incredible at doing that, and her banter and her dialogue and her, everything else, her descriptor, everything, all her spice, all that. It is she's very good at. It's funny because I was reading some of the Goodreads reviews and they're like, "Oh, Brynne, yet again, Brynne just can't do spice." And I'm like, "Did we read the same book? Because
She can't do spice.
she's one of the best spice writers I've ever read. Are you kidding me? She's just great at tension and the pacing of it. I mean, everything. Anyway, yeah, somebody wrote that, and I was like, "Oh, cheese and rice." Okay, you can't please everyone, right? You can never just please everybody. It just happens like
No.
that. So,
What do you want
agree with
in the
you. I'm a
spice?
5 stars,
Like
dude. I I don't know.
because,
Okay.
I mean, this kinda goes into our spice ratings. So, you
Oh
said
yeah,
5
it does.
stars, but, like, with spice
Mhm.
ratings, this book is spicier than Taurus season,
Oh, it's a
I
5.
felt. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She walks around with a butt plug, and she's talking to people, and with her butt plug in, with that whole
It
thing.
reminded me of
That
Leather Lark though, because remember she's on the
yeah.
stage? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
to,
but
like,
she's not having,
another
like, a
good one.
full-on conversation with, like, 3 grown ass men about,
Yeah.
like, random stuff, and then they, in a alleyway.
She's a woman of
But
many
okay.
talents.
Yeah. I would say she can keep her focus pretty good. So
Yeah.
spice rating also is gonna be a 5 for me as well, just because
Yes.
you go
Same.
into the more the taboo things, with this book. So yeah, there's a lot more spicy scenes, like right off the bat, like chapter 4,
Oh, yeah.
you're
It
in it,
opened.
and
Well,
it's
because it, like, opens there's no, like, gap between
no,
the end of Taurus season to harvest season. It's
mhm,
it's all gonna be, like, one story tied together. It's not like, "This happened in this period of time, and now we're jumping in time." It's all literally the
right.
same block of it'll continue the same pacing, which I wanna ask you about that too if you like that, so we'll get into that when we get here in a minute, but agree, 5
Mhm,
stars and peppers by far. Of course, you have taboo topics, the massive trigger warning at the beginning of the book, which Brynne is known for and is hysterically
mhm,
funny. So we get that again. We get all the classic Brynne Weaver elements of her story and writing that we've always loved, and I just love to we gotta cheer her on for doing something different. This is the first, like,
Mhm.
trilogy that we've ever read from her, and it's a step a little bit different from her first massively sold trilogy, and it's written in a different way, and you have to
Mhm.
kinda understand that when you're going into the series. It's interesting because, again, to the reviews, I went back and read several different reviews, and a bunch of people like, "Make sure you read Tourist Season first," and I think that is because people are expecting it to be like the standalone trilogy of Ruinous Love if they've read her before, and they haven't done their research to know that this trilogy is literally one story. It's gonna be 3 books, like, connected.
But still, you should read Ruinous Love from Butcher and Blackbird. I wouldn't pick up, like, Scythe and
Correct.
Sparrow and then work my way backwards because that doesn't make sense in
No.
the overall storyline. So even though they're,
Like,
like, kinda standalone stories, it's still a trilogy and where how, like, the stories
but you have no
interconnect. So
context about all the other stuff if you
yeah,
don't.
exactly, like, who are these other characters? Why like,
I
you
don't
know, so I
that's
mean,
just a review I
duh.
saw. No.
These people,
Give me
I need to
feedback.
know who their English teacher was in high school because I have some words with some of these grown ass adults and,
Look,
like, their reading because
some
we
of them might be paid to do these reviews, like, what maybe we should get into that, Michelle, I don't know. It's a thought. I mean, I have no time, but if I did, you know what I'm saying? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't ugh.
Alright.
Okay. So let's go into, like, discussion about the plot and, like, thoughts and feelings about the plot. So what was your favorite moment in the book overall?
I would have to say they were collectively moments, and I
Okay.
think you're gonna be surprised because it's not I talked about this when I talked about the drink, and I think that this kinda nods to something personal to me. So, my grandfather passed away from dementia, and there were a lot of signs over time, and there were specific things where you can see that Harper, they talk about the B12, and they talk about all these different things that they're trying to help Arthur with, and I think Harper's love for him and that element of the story which is part of the subplot, was really just beautifully written. And again, it speaks to Bryn's ability to tie in her real life and real world experience with grief, with having to care for someone who can't care for themselves and isn't able to identify those things, and him slowly forgetting who she was, and just all of that. Like, those little tidbits were painful to read, but so beautifully well done, and tastefully done, with the utmost care. You could tell that she really, um, was very sensitive to how she did that, and I thought that made it a very unique element that you don't often see in this genre or really in romance books in general, and if you do, it's kinda glazed over. This wasn't like that. This was very specific, detailed, um, and carefully done in a way that I really enjoyed reading, and it brought me back to elements of my grandfather's life, but it also, while heartbreaking and beautiful, reminded me of how much I loved and cared for him, and so her ability to do that, in her writing, speak to how good of a writer she is, but it also made me really enjoy this book in a different way because while the pacing for Harper/Autumn was frustrating with Nolan and that relationship piece, the relationship that she had built over time with Arthur, I think was written with the utmost of care, and you could see how much she loved him, and so, while difficult to read, I thought, getting some of those, bonus chapters, like POV, or getting it wasn't really bonus, but POV that you weren't expecting, but also,
Mhm.
like, reading some of those things was challenging, but I enjoyed that, and it's weird to say that I enjoyed that. I don't know how else to say it. I
I
think it
think
was impactful, meaningful. I don't
yes.
know what the right word would be, yeah.
No, I would agree. I also my grandmother is struggling with Alzheimer's and that my step grandmother, no, not step grandmother, grandmother-in-law, she died from Alzheimer's as well. So, like you, I think I can echo your sentiment in the fact that watching someone deteriorate in that sort of manner is hard. It's very difficult. And then getting this point of view where from Harper and seeing Arthur, who is just strong, still strong, all the way
Yeah,
up to the end. Even though his body and his brain's failing him, he has such a strong personality. And seeing how because a lot of times the elderly are written off, especially elderly who are unwell. They're just written off.
Yeah.
And seeing how Harper really maintained his dignity the entire
Yep.
time. Like, didn't let him notice when his memory was slipping, and gave him moments to, like, if he forgot a
Gather
name,
himself.
she would intentionally place information in the conversation so he can save himself just in case, because it's all about dignity, especially, when you're battling with something that you're really helpless against. So I would say, like, that was my favorite aspect of the book as well, because obviously you can say, like, the spice scenes, the banter, like,
Yeah.
those are gonna be, like, clear go-tos,
Those are all,
but
like, classic Brynne Weaver things. I think this was
yeah.
something she did differently in this book as Harvest Season standalone versus the rest of the
Mhm.
books we've read from her. I think she did that
Absolutely.
piece very different and well. Yeah.
Right, and I think she had to do it because in the end, I'm sorry, like, where what do you mean? He's only in 2 books. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So, the
Yeah.
ending.
Justice for Arthur. I wasn't
Yeah.
ready to yeah, I wasn't
No.
ready for that. I
No,
thought
I
he for
wasn't
sure
ready for
was
that
gonna be in
either.
book 3.
Mhm.
But I think that creates a catalyst, right?
Right.
So it yeah, so it'll create forward momentum in book 3, but it wasn't a death I was prepared for,
No.
certainly.
No.
But I also think that, again, he comes back in early on, and there's just a lot more depth of his character that's built, and again, too, I feel like their respect that was given to that character was, very intentional and beautifully
Mhm.
done, so that was one of
Right.
my favorite parts for sure.
Right. Okay, so we'll talk about the ending later, but so let's go into, like, Harper. So Harper/Autumn, throughout the book, I would say she's a kind of frustrating. At least when I was reading her, she was frustrating for me. So
Mhm.
how did you feel about her as she goes through changes and experiences throughout this novel?
I mean, your girl's got trust issues, but who can blame her, right?
Right.
She's got a lot of unresolved trauma. She herself is borderline untrustworthy. I mean, she mentions
Mhm.
this about herself many, many times about how she has 2 names, for God's sakes. I mean, okay, like she understands that trust is earned, but she's also almost incapable of it at the time that she's in now. And she's dealing with, again, we have Arthur. She's dealing with all the murders in Cape Carnage, all this cover up. It's a lot of stress. It's high stress. And I think while Nolan keeps trying to prove his loyalty to her, she just might not be in a place to receive that. And I think that was the frustrating part of this book
Right.
is from a trope perspective, I could see how that would be frustrating for readers to it's not really it's kind of miscommunication, but it's not. It's really more
Mhm.
of like third act breakup, right? Is what we're
Right.
getting. Heavy third act breakup. I'm not personally a huge fan of it, but with anything Brynne Weaver does, she does it well. And I think it made sense for these characters to have that because, again,
Mhm.
middle book, we know that we're going to have resolution in book 3. I think they're going to end up together. How we get there is we'll see. But was Harper a little bit annoying and frustrating? Yes. But again, we have to understand that it makes logical sense for the book to flow that way. So, I, I- yeah, she frustrated me.
Yeah. Well,
What
yeah,
about
and it
you?
makes sense. You get her perspective of what happened in the murder house, like the horror house in Texas.
Yeah.
She talks about
Which
because
we
we
knew, but
before.
we didn't
Yeah,
know it
we
from
didn't
her
perspective.
POV. Yeah.
Yeah. That he was, her last boyfriend was literally dying, like, he was from, he was cold, he was dying, and, she has this guilt because she's like, "Well, if we waited an hour, then they would have been saved." 1 hour, and that's it,
Yeah.
and she had to watch or listen to him be torn apart, and,
Ugh.
like, can you imagine, like, that what
No,
that does to a
absolutely not.
person,
No. Yeah.
So, I got it.
There's
I
no rationale.
understood why, like, her
And,
entire
like, the
thing was,
risks
like,
were terrifying. Yeah.
yeah,
Because now she's like, "I have someone else I could lose." And she's
right,
losing
like, her
Arthur.
perspective is like,
Like
"What if you die?" Or, "What if you're ripped away from me again in,
yeah.
like, the most
Mhm.
horrific way?" So I understood. I absolutely understood. But, like, Nolan time and time again was like, "I love you. I have undying love or unwavering love for you. I will support you. I will literally murder for you if anyone." And he even, like, thinks about murdering Arthur because Arthur's, like, kind of fucking things up, and it's not Arthur's fault,
Yeah.
you know? He
Right.
he has this, he has, his brain's dying. So but he's like, "Well, I need to protect Harper. So how can I protect Harper?" And he, like, thinks about, like, I might murder Arthur." And, like, the way I'm like, "You better not." Like, in my head, I'm like, "You better
Yeah.
not touch that man."
No.
But,
Which, you know, ironically, heart in the right place. I don't think
right. Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's with, like,
and
all of them,
these are
I'm
all
gonna
serial killers,
murder.
so, you know,
Right. And, like,
she
we even get, like, 'cause I felt like 'cause Harper's a serial killer. Arthur's a serial killer. I didn't feel like Nolan was as true of a serial killer as, like, what's normally written
he
about,
definitely
but then we get more of his backstory. It's like, "Oh, you murdered at, like, 18." You know? "You had
yeah,
your first
he
murder when you were a
definitely did.
teenager." And,
Yeah, and I yeah, from Tor's
strangulation.
that makes
Yeah.
sense from Tor's season, that you would think,
Mhm.
like, he's not like, he only had, this vendetta. He only had this, like,
Yeah.
motivation because of his
But
brother.
no.
So you think that he's only driven to go do this because of that, but really, no, he's always been a little bit of a monster underneath. He's always had
A
it
little
in
bit.
there, yeah.
It's okay,
But,
we
I
like a
mean,
little monster.
vigilante, but
But
still, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um So, okay, let's go into Harper and Nolan as like a couple because their dynamic works, even though they
Oh,
have
yeah.
like
Oof, there's spice,
they're
girl.
not,
I work.
their
Ugh.
love relationship or their emotional connection is like kind of not questionable, but like Harper won't give into it. But their dynamic works. So despite like all their flaws as a character, what part or aspect was your favorite? It how does them working made you feel? Like talk to me about how you feel as them as a couple.
So, ironically, she will not give, like she already gave her heart, but, like, she won't, like, verbalize it, but when they have their spice scenes, they're again, Brynne doesn't write spice for spice, even though she does some off the wall shit. She doesn't just write it for no reason. And I
Uh-huh.
think that you can really see how well they connect as a couple in those intimate moments that they share.
Hmm.
Because while they're spicy, while they have taboo elements, while they have all this, crazy stuff going on a page, if you're really reading what they're having, like, conversation-wise in those moments, or they're talking about, or the when you're reading point of view of what they're each thinking about each other, because you go back and forth. You don't only in the spicy scenes, you don't only have one POV. She switches it up throughout this book, and,
Hmm.
while it is one of her spicier books, I think you can really tell that that is an innate chemistry between the 2 of them, and there's, like, a
Hmm.
level of respect there between both of them, and there's a really big level of vulnerability because they
Yes.
know these really intimate things about each other, and then when they come together, that explosion of chemistry, of level of trust in the spice scenes,
Mhm.
again, are just really well written, and I just think that you can tell right away that there's no denying that they're gonna be endgame, is their
Absolutely.
spice. You can just it's not you can tell, like, you can always tell when you're reading a book if, like, the couple's endgame or if
Hmm.
there's like, it didn't really do it for 'em." That is
Right.
not the case with these 2,
Mm-mm.
okay? Not even close.
No. No, I would agree. Like there's the if you look at like you said, if you look at the text of the spice, not just like the spice itself, but like actually read between the lines, a lot of what they're doing is um giving each other parts of themselves. And
Yes. Mhm.
Nolan takes care of her and even
Mhm.
like pushes some vulnerability and pushes some like aspects like of sex
Yes.
that she hasn't explored yet, but does so in a caring manner to make sure she is emotionally and physically taken care of. So I think that aspect when
And
people
also
are
that
reading this
speaks
like
to
no.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that speaks to what you're saying about, like, how do they work? Well, she's willing to go try these new things with him.
Mhm.
Like, "Girl, your body already done decided."
Girl, I mean, literally Okay, so the butt plug scene, because I was just like, this came
Oh,
out of nowhere because all of a sudden, like, they're having a conversation and like the next like chapter is like my butt's vibrating, because
right.
it was like such
Yeah.
a hop and skip. I'm like, how did we get here? And
You're
then
like,
she's like talking to
you're
like
like
the
looking in the both
three
directions.
Johns or
Yeah.
whatever, and they're like having
Mhm.
conversations, and then she calls him. She says that he's not her boyfriend. He's like, ah, it's like complicated, and then like. Nolan gets pissed because, like, "What do you mean it's complicated? Like,
Yeah, what
it's
do you
not
mean?
complicated, I'm your fucking
There's
boyfriend."
nothing
And, like, the way, like,
yeah.
he's just so ride or die for her, like, literally, or
Yeah.
ride or kill, honestly. That is a
He
little bit
falls
more.
first.
Yeah, he
Yeah, we
does,
gotta very much he falls first,
which
and a
Brynne
very
does.
much if going tropey, yeah, she does very well, and very much he falls first, but, 3rd act breakup,
Yeah.
that was like
She was like, "Listen, like, I get it." Like, and the fact, like, the breakup isn't because of anything, like, an argument or anything, it's she is thinking that's what's best for him. And
yeah,
he's, like, desperately fighting, like, "No, that's not," and which is frustrating too, because also, she's doing it for herself to, like, save her, like, her mentality because, like,
oh, yeah,
what if he gets ripped from me? But also, like, don't it frustrates me when people guise, decisions as, like, for someone else. It's like, "No, that's for you." Don't mask that and make a decision
yeah,
for
I don't even know
him,
what
you
trope
know?
that would be, but it's like, yeah, don't be like, "Oh, I'm making this decision for you because ultimately, like, that" like, no, I'm a grown fucking adult. I'll
Yeah,
make my own decisions. If I wanna go
exactly.
fall face first and, each whatever, then that's on me. That's not on you.
Mhm. Like, you
We're
literally,
either
like,
gonna, like,
buried dead
just
bodies
adult
together.
yeah, I mean, like, we're
Like
gonna literally, like, we're gonna respect our adult decision making or, like, we're not, like but again, going back to the Autumn trauma for Harper/Autumn,
Mhm,
she think I think she feels like she didn't get that chance with Adam, and
mhm,
now she's like, "Well, maybe I can, like, prevent that here," but it's a really good reminder that, um, when you're dealing with trauma, the trauma brain is like, "Oh, I've seen this before. How can I
yeah,
fix it this time?" But you've not. This is a new situation in a new place, and it's not the same thing at all. But the
exactly.
trauma brain has such a hard time, discerning the 2. They're like, "Oh,
Mhm,
patterns. Okay, this person's really into me. Oh my gosh, like, he's probably gonna die, and, like, it'll probably be my fault again, and I won't be able to do anything. So, like, I should just, like I'll he just needs to leave. He should just go back to Tennessee." Like, I'll just, like, save him now because I already know how this is gonna end. Like, actually, you
mhm,
you don't, and that's just your
no,
trauma brain. And she can't, like, discern between those things. But how
right.
much therapy has our girl gotten? I mean,
None. All of them need therapy. Every single one of them need therapy. I feel like Cape Carnage would benefit from, like, a therapist, honestly,
that
just prop
therapist
up the
would be
office.
making dang
Right.
listen,
Every like
rolling in it.
I
Have a manor
because
right next door to Arthur's because of the money that they would bring in.
oh, right. Because, like, you get it, then it's just frustrating. Like, I still, like I couldn't imagine the type of trauma she went through because that's next level trauma, and she carries so much of that guilt of, she's the one that said that we should ask someone to fix the van. She's the one that, is the one that called for help. So she carries and she's the one that got away. So survivor's guilt also is on
Oh, yeah.
there. So yeah, everyone just needs trauma. But okay, so this isn't a question that I had, but like aspects of Nolan's character made were questionable to me because what do you mean he knows how to fucking cut hair and do winged eyeliner? I was like, no, you don't know how to do that. Yes, you had a girlfriend, maybe. Who even knows if that story was true?
This man has
But
any talent.
the winged eyeliner is
Yeah.
difficult if you don't do it all the time. And he's like, "No, I got it. I
Yeah,
can
I
do
still
a
don't feel like
perfect
I got
wing."
it down, and
I
I've
was
done
like,
it 100
"Wait a
times.
minute." Right? Like, I do winged eyeliner all the time. I'm like, "Oh, you're just gonna do one easy swoop?" And she's like, "Wow, this is better than I would have done." It's like, sure."
Beginner's luck,
Um, I was
perhaps.
I was like, "There's no way. There's no fucking way." So,
Okay,
that
well,
part I was like,
there's also probably no way that Cape Carnage is gonna have that many murders without someone just thinking some shit is up, okay? You know what I'm saying?
he
Like,
will the sheriff is a murderer himself. I mean,
La Plume I
what
know,
better
but
way
I'm
to
just
hide
saying,
Cape
like
Carnage?
yeah, true, but, these people come from out of town. You're gonna tell me all these out of towners aren't gonna be like, "Huh, why are there so many people?" Like, you have the sleuth seekers, right, who are, like, figuring it out somewhat, but you're gonna tell me that, like just saying, like, in the same vein that someone doesn't do one thing of eyeliner, we also have to, like, take a step back and be like, "Cape Carnage, I don't know how much
I
this would
mean, yeah,
actually,
of
like,
course, there's
happen."
no murder city. I
You know?
mean, I don't wanna say there's no murder city, but, this is it's a little bit
Murder,
fictional.
small town. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
murder, small
Gonna give it
town,
gonna give it
population,
a little bit of
the
space, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, we mentioned La Plume. Let's talk about La Plume. How did you feel about La Plume slash Yates' motives in attacking Arthur's family and Harper as well?
So, there was something that there was a bonus that was revealed about this. Let me see, I have a tab open for it. So, when Brynne released the book, she also released some bonus content, and one of them was, like, a blackout picture that was from Brynne Weaver, and it says, "Dear reader, as Sheriff Yates would say, this clue has been with you all along," and it's a poem, and it's called Monday's Child. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it to you. So it's a
Okay.
poem, it's called Monday's Child at the top, and it says, "Monday's child is fair of face. Tuesday's child is full of grace. Wednesday's child is full of woe. Thursday's child was for fair was far to go." Sorry, it's written in her handwriting, so it's hard to make out. "Friday's child is loving and giving. Saturday's child works hard for a living, and the child born on the Sabbath day is bonny and blithe and good and gay. I hope you enjoy your final journey with Harper and Nolan into Cape Carnage. Thank you so much for joining me on this wild adventure. I'm forever grateful for your love and support, Brynne." Okay, so what I want you to pay attention to is Thursday's child was far to go, looks like it says. Fair or far, I'll let you decide. I'll send you a clip of this.
Okay.
And so that in mind, I'm, like, thinking, why does Sheriff Yates wanna give us this? And then there was a section, when, Harper is cleaning out one of the areas that was Arthur's dumping area, and there's this really weird thing that gets mentioned there where she's cleaning it out, and she stops on this bookmarked page, okay, and I highlighted this. And it says, "On page 68, there's an article titled 'A Tale
Mhm.
of Two Ships,' and it's a story about a single mast sailboat," right?
Yep.
And there's this thing about it's called Thursday's Child. So then this poem references Thursday's Child. So one of the boats in the book is called Thursday's Child, and the section that's taken out, there's a note written in, "How you shine, soaked landscape, set alight by the rays that pierce the cloudy sky." Somebody wrote that in on that book, right? But
Mhm.
this this poem also referenced Thursday's Child, has far to go. So, I there's something here.
Yeah.
There are people that have implied that if Thursday's Child has far to go, is there a blood relationship between Yates somewhere and Harper Autumn? We don't know. We don't know enough of
Mhm.
her Autumn backstory. There's,
Yeah.
like, something else here, and I haven't figured it out, but the fact that it's, like, Thursday's Child's mentioned in the book, and then it's mentioned in this poem again is
Mhm.
weird. There's some connection there, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
piece together what it is. I don't know if it's because there's a boat called Thursday's Child, and we're out to sea, and there's maybe some reference to somewhere we're gonna go in book 3 related to that. I don't know. I'm, like, trying here. What are your
Interesting.
thoughts?
I don't since this is the first time hearing, I'm, like, trying to wrap my brain around
Live.
it. Yeah. I mean, Thursday's Child is far or fair to go.
It
Um,
says far to go, I believe, because I
far to
think I would
go?
see the distinct I. Yeah.
Got
Thursday's
okay,
Child
so it's
far to go.
was far
Has
to
far to
go,
go.
has far to go.
Thursday's Child has far to go. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, do we know when when Harper was born? Was Harper born on a Thursday? Um,
I don't
I
know.
don't
But again,
uh,
what's referenced here in the book is Thursday's Child is the name of a ship.
Yeah,
It's the name of a boat. So I'm
right.
like, they're in Cape Carnage, there's boats,
Maybe that's
we're at
where
by
Nolan is.
the
Maybe that's
yeah.
where, because Nolan's, like, at the very end, right? Nolan's captured.
Right. He doesn't
Nolan's
leave her. She thinks
no.
that he
Yeah,
like,
no, he's
understood,
captured,
but he's
and there's, like,
captured.
nothing
He's on
yeah.
Thursday's child?
So,
I don't know.
maybe that's where Nolan is, because at the end of that, that poem, it says, "This is their final journey in Cape Carnage," right? Read that last part.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
means they're no longer in Cape Carnage afterwards. That means she's going that's, like, kind of a clue what's gonna
Well,
happen next.
final journey with Harper and Nolan into Cape Carnage.
Yeah, so
So
they're leaving
here,
Cape
I'm gonna
Carnage. In book 3, that means they're going, maybe he's on a boat or is, yeah, maybe he's on a boat hidden somewhere. If you're, kind of by the sea, it's easy to smuggle things on a boat. And not from experience. I don't know that from experience. I'm just assuming, you know?
so you think in book 3 they're gonna leave Cape Carnage and go somewhere else, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's what she just said. She said that they're gone. They have she has to go find him. So, I know we're skipping to the end what we're talking about with this, but,
Well,
like,
you asked me
she
about
has
Spirit
to
of
go
Fates,
find
I
them.
mean, that's the Plume, I mean, these are things that we have to talk about. So it's like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
because
I didn't
Harper's gonna
mean
be
to.
pissed that Arthur's gone. She's gonna have to find
Yeah.
who killed Arthur, because which I have some qualms with, like, how that went down. Um, and she's going to look for him. She's gonna go look for Nolan as well and look for La Plume.
For those not knowing where this is from, we found this, it was on Reddit, but it was a bonus offer, and it's a blacklight thing. So it was
Yeah.
published on our Instagram as well, and there's other places that you can find it.
It's like
But
invisible ink on, like, the book, because it looks like it's a part of, like, a text. It's, like, written like a black like invisible ink
a
somewhere.
blacklight.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Thursday's
And I
Child, that would make sense. It's a ship, and there are not in Cape Carnage in book 3 at all.
yeah. So I'm gonna
So
say outright that I think Thursday's Child's a ship.
mhm,
Um, and or one of the ship's names is here.
mhm.
We just don't know which one because I feel like that might be too easy. So, but maybe not. I think Thursday's Child's mentioned multiple times. So I think no one's on a boat. I think it's still called Thursday's Child. That's my guess. And yeah, I think you're right based on the rest of the context of what Brynne wrote that we're likely moving out of Cape Carnage completely in book
Mhm.
3 and on a
'Cause
separate
there's
journey.
nothing I would say there's nothing left for Harper and Cape Carnage. I mean, she has her kind of cousin-ish person.
Yeah, but I
But
think
well,
we were setting up to leave Cape Carnage for a while.
yeah,
There's too many
yeah.
bodies. Arthur's no longer needing care. She doesn't own anything there. That's not
Mm-mm.
even her real name. It was kind
Yeah.
of a stop along the path, and it succeeded its time for
Yep,
multiple
I
reasons.
agree.
Nolan mentions leaving. Nolan mentions taking her from there multiple times. Like this
Mhm.
isn't.
No,
So
I
yeah, I
agree.
agree.
But, so back to, like, my original question is La Plume's motives. I'm still okay, so La Plume is a serial killer of serial killers, which we've seen before. That's
Yeah,
what, Brynne writes. But I'm still uncertain of his obsession with Arthur. Like, I still don't get that part because he took something precious from Arthur, right? He took his daughter,
killed his daughter.
and yeah, his daughter who had a newborn son, right? So, and Arthur has to take care of the newborn son. Um, I but I don't understand, like, why he's still
It's got to be
on
personal.
Arthur. Like, why did he assume this whole new identity to be the sheriff in town so he can keep tabs on Arthur? Is it so he doesn't murder again? Because you didn't do a good job of preventing that, buddy. Just look at the graveyard of his estate, you know?
Literally.
So I wasn't that part was kind of I know that's gonna be revealed later on,
Yeah,
but I
it'll
was
come
still
together.
piecing
But
together,
honestly,
like,
that this is good though that we don't know, right? I
yeah,
feel like that's a testament to Bryn's ability to just have us, like, reeling.
really
I
questioning.
don't know.
Yeah,
I'm still,
and
like, trying to, like, piece it together, and I frankly don't wanna know. I'm glad that
right,
we're salivating over book 3 to find out what the fuck's
trying to
going
figure
on.
it out, yeah. Well, and,
Yeah.
like, La Plume obviously is focused on Harper because I feel like I don't know if it has anything to do with Harper and more of, like, Harper's connection to Arthur. because if it had to do with Harper, I feel like there would have been more references in her past to, like,
I think it would be an
something.
odd thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So I
odd thing
think
that
it
does
has
fully align. So a lot of the people who are like, "Oh, they're related," like, I don't think so. I think the note about Thursday's Child is in reference to the boat that they're on. That's what I
yeah.
think it's about. I don't think it's about a connection to Yates in a familiar way to Harper/Autumn,
No,
'cause that
I
makes
think
logical
yeah.
sense to me.
No. I think Harper like, his, focus on Harper is to further attack Arthur and,
Mhm.
like, taking and
There's
antagonizing
something else
something
there.
that is him. Yeah,
Mhm.
he has more of a I feel like there's a deeper connection with Arthur in, like, the relation there, because who knows? Like, why did so, you know, he killed Arthur's daughter. Where's the father of the baby? Where's the father of the cousin? Like, who is that? I have a question on who's that. Like, why was Arthur the only one able to obviously Arthur's wife is gone. But
Right.
why was it the father of the baby involved? Like, who is that? Um,
Yeah.
maybe he's related to the cousin, honestly.
Yep.
That could be like maybe he's like the father of or some sort of uncle or some sort of blood relation to whoever the father of the cousin was. And
Yeah.
that's why he has like this sort of vendetta against Arthur and keeping tabs on Arthur. And maybe he's keeping tabs on, his relative
There's something
child.
there. I think you're
Yeah. Cause
closer.
the
Figure
cousin,
it
I'm
out.
just like, you're important, but I'm not seeing like I get weird. No, yeah, I get weird vibes from him. I think
Yeah.
there's more to him than he's just kind of helping running the distillery, because he keeps disappearing. He
I
disappears a
know, and he
lot.
keeps up too. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
weird.
So
So,
I
I feel
think
like
yeah.
classic Brynne Weaver, we'll probably get some new characters in book 3. I think that we will definitely see all the loose ends tied up. I think certain
Mhm.
characters were like, "Why do you keep popping up? What's going on here?" Or they might just be distractions. I don't know yet. Bryn's really good about doing that, but we know
Yeah.
for certain that she knows what she's doing to us, and
Yep,
she's a good
absolutely.
daughter, so she's definitely got us ready to
Without a
go.
doubt,
I think that brings
despite
us
the
to a good
comments.
point in time to go down the rabbit hole real quick. So, it's summer, Michelle, and, I think it'd be a good time we've talked about AI quite a bit, and I think it would be a good time to mention that in last year, in 2025, there was a writer who was released from contract because of their summer reading list. Did you hear about this?
Yeah. No, but
Okay,
you've mentioned it to me, but I haven't heard it. I didn't, like, research it myself. So why don't you
okay. Well,
give me the cliff
so
notes of what happened?
those who don't know, yeah, I'll give you the cliff notes. One of the local Chicago newspapers put out a summer reading list, which is very standard practice. Hey, go read all these books, right?
Mhm.
They're great. You should go check them out. And so it was the Chicago Sunday Times, and then also the Philadelphia Inquirer. So a couple different ones picked up this list, which happens, right? So sometimes you publish an article and then others want to republish it because they think it's good or whatever, and they'll pick it up. And
Mhm.
they put over 20 titles on this list. Okay. Read these for
Okay.
summer. These are great. Some of them are Pulitzer Prize winning books. They're all these different things, right? 15 of the titles weren't real, Michelle. They weren't real. They were completely made up. Author
Mm,
names were real. Book
okay.
titles, completely false.
Okay.
So the writer went on ChatGPT at the time to help him or her out to write this article and put books that don't exist. So note people in Chicago read. So a lot of people read this article and they're like, "Oh, I can't find that book by Andy Weir. What do you mean?" And then they're looking at Andy, and Andy's like, I don't know anything about that book. I don't have a clue. I've
I
never heard of
wasn't
this."
aware that I wrote that
Like,
book.
literally, like, how do you what? Um, so it was just crazy, and I think the down the rabbit hole segment I'm getting at is where where do we get to? I was on Instagram this morning, and there was a really viral image of, uh really famous, it was actually Megans of the internet world. The 3 Megans, and they were in superhero costumes. Like, think of 3 famous Megans that you know that are, like, really ultra famous, okay? One of them's last
Okay.
name is Fox, give you a clue, okay? Anyway,
Uh-huh.
they're in superhero costumes, and this thing went viral, and it looks so real, Michelle,
Mhm.
so real. It's AI. It's an AI account, like,
Yeah.
completely fake.
Okay.
and their whole Instagram is all celebrities, completely fake photos. Just and that's how they make, like, their living is off of
Yeah.
these, regenerated and I guess what this segment was meant to be was, at what point are we curtailing the use of AI? And so, obviously, this writer lost their contract because it was so blatantly obvious that they used
Yeah.
AI to put fake books, right?
Serves
Like, they're
them
not
right,
even like, you didn't even
honestly.
do the extra step of
Yeah, you
verifying
should
if it's
research.
real. Right? But where's the line? And so, as we talk about, like, writers who are getting bashed of the M dash and saying, like, "Oh, they put it in an AI, their book is completely AI," like, what how do we
Educated people know
know?
how to use an M dash. Educated people know how to use an M dash. If you've went through college, if you went through any sort of writing, you know how to use an M dash. The reason why M dash is like a trigger of AI is if this 14-year-old at a 3rd grade level knows how to use an M dash miraculously. That's when you're like, okay. Now I feel like that's from like the
Right.
education
Context.
standpoint. Like if you're a teacher
Right.
and you're like, okay, I know my kids' reading and writing level. Why are they all of a sudden using the M dash and they know how to use semicolons? And like I feel like just blanket stating M dash is AI is like
Dangerous
damaging to
word.
people who are actually educated
Yeah.
because people know how to use that. So the reason why AI uses the M dash is because it's looking at formulaic writing. And formulaic writing, which most people like have standardized writing, English has like a kind of a standardized formula when you're writing an essay that you use like commas and semicolons and M dashes in certain ways. And they're always if you're listing things, it's always going to give you 3 because that's like a standardized thing. So that's damaging to people who actually are writing. To that writer in the Chicago Times, it takes literally like one extra step to research if the
Check
title
your
is right
work,
or not.
friend. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
because AI just takes whatever is given. It takes whatever it can find and like
You asked it to
regurgitates it to
create
you.
it, so it did. You never
Yeah,
asked it to be accurate. Like, clearly,
exactly.
you
And
asked
it's
it
like
to give
AI
you
is wrong. AI
25
can be
books to read, like
wrong.
mhm,
Yeah, it
yeah.
only knows what it can gather. And if it can't
Oh
gather the
my
right
god.
information, and it's not analytical in any sort of way, like you can't ask it to do
Uh-uh.
anything analytical,
It's
it's just
designed to
regurgitating
confuse you.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I AI is gonna continue to be a problem unless government entities step in. Honestly, it is. It's gonna be a problem until we get some regulation on it.
Right.
People like I feel like if someone is using AI to on your identity, like that's a violation. I feel like, and
Right.
obviously like these
Person that's
celebrities, they get
reposting all
fan
these
art.
celebrities,
Yeah.
right? And they're making profit, and some would say, like, "Well, how is that any different from the person taking a photo?" Well, it's very different because that person actually went and took the photo. The paparazzi went
Mhm.
to a public place and took a real photo. What's happening with AI is you're generating images like, there's an image of, Taylor Swift and Cardi B sitting at a World Cup game together. It looks so
Right.
real.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, of course not.
Not that that's bad, like, I'm sure that maybe they would go to one together, who
Right, but,
knows?
like,
But
okay, so
the
we're doing
idea
things
of
innocent here, right? Like,
right.
what and, there are damaging ways that AI can then be used for as it gets better,
Oh,
you know?
Paris
So
Hilton
they're placing
recently came
2.
out and
Mhm,
yeah, she recently came out and said there were over 100,000, pornographic images of her that
mhm.
were AI, that were
Yeah,
non-consensual, and they're everywhere.
that and I
It's to our
know
children,
yeah,
you know?
mm. I I know
Protect your
they're
kids on
pretty
the
smart
internet.
of how that's gonna be an issue, and I feel like and I know that, at least, in Florida with, like, our school systems, I already know, like, with creating pornographic material, especially if it's of children, that is equally as offensible as non-AI generated pornographic material of children. So, I
Mhm.
know there's that aspect that's being regulated from what they can find, obviously, it takes time to find these sorts of things, and they're
Yeah.
damaging before that, before they're, like, discovered, but there needs to be more regulation in terms of, like, is that identity theft? Is that a violation of privacy? Is like, because if we don't put a regulation on AI, it's just gonna run rampant, and
And it has. And how long did it take? So, we were talking about this as well of like the UK recently. coming on board with banning social media for minors. How long did that take, though?
Right.
Like, how many
Well, I
minors
mean,
were
yeah,
negatively
'cause
impacted or are no longer with us
mhm.
because of choices due to social media? Like, how long did that
Which,
take? I mean,
you
for
know
a
how
decade?
they
How you
you
don't
know
have
how
that
they,
kind
like
of time with AI.
right, but you know how they, like, monitor that? So you have to put your f like, it does a facial scan, and if you
Mhm.
don't have, like if you are I think it's below 13, so it's trying to recognize, like, certain facial features of, like, someone who's more developed. But apparently, kids have found a way around it, that if you have a mustache on, facial hair,
Oh
that you
my
can
god.
still have yeah, you can get around that facial recognition, because facial hair is a
Gee,
key indicator that you've gone through puberty, right? You're an adult-ish, you're,
listener.
older,
Yeah.
but you can
Yeah.
put a mustache on and get around it. So there are it's still not a perfect system. Obviously, it shows that there's effort to
We're
protect
trying.
the children, but there's still ways around it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the government's gonna have to intervene. Someone's gonna have to intervene, because
Yeah.
AI is not going anywhere. ChatGPT is making way too much money to go anywhere unless someone puts
Oh,
a
and
stop.
it's every
Yeah,
time anyone uses it, it's just taking all your info for
it's
free,
learning. It
right?
keeps learning
So,
and learning and learning. So,
at a pace that we can't keep up with. But anyway,
mhm,
fun down the rabbit hole session. We're gonna see how that goes. Let's hit us
mhm.
with some mystery Q&A. I have a question for you, Michelle, if you're ready.
All right. What's your question?
Favorite summer food?
Summer food.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing like summer than grilling on the barbecue next to a
Oh,
pool.
yeah. Absolutely.
There's like
Yeah.
that's like go to
Quintessential.
eating, like, a cheeseburger outside next to the pool. You have, like, the smoke, or, whatever you're grilling with, if whether it's charcoal, wood on, like, a one of those
Yeah.
Blackstone grills, that's just like a
Yeah.
I feel that's like a core summer memory is just grilling
Mhm.
out. So, anything you can throw on the grill can be
Yeah.
burgers, hot dogs, ribs, vegetables, any of that sorta so I feel like that's, like, peak summer, especially,
All
like, in
grill
Florida.
foods
All
is your
grill
answer.
foods. Yes.
Okay.
That is
I
yeah.
was just gonna go hot dog. Yeah,
Oh.
that was gonna be mine. But,
It's same vein.
but let
Same vein.
so here's a follow-up question. Are you like a toppings person? Like, do we put stuff on top of
Yes.
your hot dog? Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. I
hot
can
dog,
do
I'm a
just
little bit
plain
more
hot
basic on, like, I'm not, like, one of those,
What?
like,
Oh, no,
I
hot
like
dog for me is a vehicle. Okay.
oh, okay. What
Yeah.
toppings are we
Any of them. All of them,
all
frankly. Yeah.
okay. I know, like, there's, what's that place? Is it Nathan's Hot Dog Stand in Florida? And, like, that's a
I don't know.
Brevard.
There's one.
Yeah, they have, like, 50 different hot dogs with all these different toppings. I'm like a mustard and relish, and that I'm good.
Ooh. Okay, classic
Yeah.
dog. Okay.
So, yeah,
Alright.
yeah.
Nice.
Alright, so we're in Florida. We frequent many swimming is, like, integrated in our system, our DNA at this point in time. If you live in Florida, you probably swim
Eh,
somewhere, some
yeah.
shape or
I'm
form.
about to go swimming
Okay,
after this. Yeah.
so what type of body of water is our preferred swimming? We
Oh,
got
pool. Hands
oceans,
down.
we got okay, so pool, just a pool, okay,
Yeah. Absolutely.
okay.
I mean, we got springs, we got ocean.
Yeah,
All those have critters
we got different
and
types of
unquestionable.
oceans. We got,
Yeah,
we
but
got
see,
the East
up
Coast, we
north,
got the Gulf.
you have your changes up north. You can have
Okay.
some good times on a lake up north. You get the
Yeah, no, we don't do
boating and
lake
all that.
water here.
Florida,
If the water's
you
wet,
just
there's
don't
a
know.
gator.
You don't do
If you can't see the
listen, the
bottom.
snakes, it's
Oh,
the brain-eating amoebas,
yep.
okay?
Yeah,
We got all kinds of
yep.
things to think about.
Mhm.
The gators are chilling most of the time. I'm not even like I mean, watch your dogs and stuff, and watch your small
Right,
children,
and your
but,
yeah, your
you
children.
know,
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
what about you?
I love this
Okay.
because it's crystal
Springs are great.
clear,
Yeah.
even though there are all the things around, you can see if a gator's there, and gators, if they're
That's true.
swimming, they don't
It's clear.
unless you're, like, off the side, like, kind of closer to, like, the water's edge, you're not gonna
The
get picked
bank.
off.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No.
so,
What a
we
choice of
live really
words.
close in Central Florida, we live close to springs, like, there's a ton of springs, like, I live really
Yeah.
close to Blue Springs, and the last time we were swimming there, like, there were otters, like, just kind of, like, frolicking around in the water, and then, like, there was still a manatee, and, like, there's, like, so much stuff, and it's crystal
Yeah.
clear, it's cold
It's
as
cool.
fuck, but once your body gets, like, adjusted to it, I'm excited for when
There's
my
kayak.
little one is a little bit older, so, his body temperature doesn't, like, plummet as soon as he enters the water. But
Right.
for us, we love going to the springs.
Fun. Yeah, no, I love the
Yep.
springs too. Valid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next on Book Club After Dark.
Next week, we have our interview. Carissa Broadbent is back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm
Yay.
very excited. Night Owls, we got Carissa Broadbent coming back. She's here to tell us all about The Lion and the Deathless Dark, which is
Mhm.
going to be book 5. The third duology is going to get started for Crowns of Nyaxia, and we're really pumped about that. You're probably wondering, why are we talking to Carissa before the book comes out? You'll find out when you listen to the episode. So we're looking forward to sharing that discussion with you.
Yeah, and don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on Harvest Season or the Seasons of Carnage trilogy or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art theories or anything bookish you'd like to share.
Absolutely. You can also visit our website, bookclubafterdark.co. Stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch.
That's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.